The city street hummed, a river of people flowed. Cars honked a familiar, impatient song. Buildings scraped the sky, tall and indifferent. Everyone seemed to be rushing to work, rushing to meetings, rushing away from something, or perhaps rushing toward a dream they couldn't quite name. In the middle of this hurried dance, there he was, a man with a guitar. He was an island in the stream, and he held secrets, life lessons, waiting. He wasn't famous. His name wasn't in lights. His stage was a simple patch of worn pavement, yet he held a certain kind of magic, the way he held his guitar, a little battered, a little loved. The way his eyes scanned the passing crowd, not begging, but inviting. He knew something about life, something learned not in grand halls, but right here, on the noisy, unforgiving street. These lessons are often the most profound. We often miss these teachers, these everyday philosophers. We walk by, lost in our phones, our worries, our endless to-do lists. We think wisdom is found only in books or in quiet, contemplative spaces, but sometimes it's right there, in the open air, carried on a simple tune. The street you see is a classroom, the performer, an unexpected guide. If only we pause, if only we listen. This man, with his 6 strings and his hopeful heart, had stories to tell, not just with his music, but with his presence, his daily act of courage, his quiet defiance against the rush. These were not just songs he offered, they were pieces of a larger puzzle. Lessons about showing up, about sharing your gift, about finding your voice in the noise. We are here to learn them together. His day didn't start with the first strum. Oh no, it began much earlier. In the quiet of a small room, with a simple cup of coffee perhaps, he would check his old guitar, tune its strings with a gentle hand. He would pack a small bag, a worn stool, a little tin for hopeful coins. These were his tools, his companions. This was the unseen work, the quiet dedication before the world woke to his song. Then came the journey to find his spot, not just any spot, the right spot, where the sun wasn't too harsh, where the noise wasn't too crushing, where people might actually stop. He'd unpack with care. Each item placed just so, his little patch of the world, his temporary stage. This wasn't just about logistics, it was about respect for his craft, for the people who might listen. Even for the street itself, he would take a deep breath, or maybe 2. The city was a giant. It could swallow you whole. Your music, your hopes. He had to find his center, his calm. He had to be ready for smiles, ready for frowns, ready for the person who dropped a coin, ready for the many who walked on by. This mental preparation was his shield, his quiet strength, his inner song before the outer one, and then he would create his space. Not with walls, not with velvet ropes, but with his presence. With the first tentative notes, he drew an invisible circle, inviting people in. Here, it seemed to say, here is a moment of peace, a moment of music, a moment to share. He claimed this small piece of the day for art, for connection, for the simple act of giving. The first notes floated out, softly at first, testing the air, testing the mood of the street. Some people hurried past, their faces set. They did not hear, or perhaps they chose not to. This was always the way. The city had its own rhythm, its own urgent beat. The performer knew this. He did not falter. He played for the one who might listen, for the heart that might open. Then a connection. A child tugging on a mother's hand, eyes wide with wonder. An old man slowing his pace, a gentle smile forming, a young couple pausing, their hands intertwined. These were the moments, small bridges built between strangers, a shared glance, a nod of appreciation. It wasn't about the money, not really. It was about this spark, this brief, beautiful human touch. The highs were like sunshine, the sound of scattered applause, a heartfelt thank you, the warmth of a genuine smile. These were the rewards. They filled his small tin, yes, but more importantly, they filled his spirit. They told him he was seen, that his music mattered, even if just for a fleeting moment. These were the affirmations that kept him going, the echoes of joy in a sea of faces. But there were lows too, the days when the music seemed to bounce off a wall of indifference, the times a dismissive glance stung more than an empty case, the moments of doubt that crept in like a cold shadow. These were hard, they tested his resolve, but they also taught him about resilience, about picking himself up, about playing his song anyway, because the song was his. What brought him back, day after day, to the same street corner, to the same uncertainties? It was more than a habit, more than need. It was a fire inside, a love for the melody, a passion to share what was in his soul. He had a dream, perhaps. Not of grand stages, maybe, but of connection, of making a small difference, of leaving a little bit of beauty in his wake. This was his quiet, powerful why. He learned to adapt, like a willow tree in the wind. If the crowd was lively, his music became more upbeat. If the mood was somber, his tunes grew softer, more reflective. Rain might come, or sudden noise. He learned to play through it, or to pause and start again. This flexibility was key, not just for a street performer, but for anyone navigating this journey called life. To bend, but not break. So, what are the lessons here from this teacher on the cobblestones? Courage, certainly. To stand before the world and offer your heart. Perseverance, to keep going when things are tough. The simple, profound beauty of human connection. Finding joy not in big triumphs, but in small, shared moments. And the importance of sharing your unique gift, whatever it may be. These are the street performer's secrets. Perhaps we all have a street corner, a place where we can share our song, our art, our passion. It doesn't have to be with a guitar. It can be with our words, our actions, our kindness. The world needs your music. So find your stage, embrace your journey with all its beautiful, messy notes, and play your heart out. For that is where the truest life lessons are unveiled.